There's a passion that ignites us, driven by pride, daring, and the desire to excel, fueled by the high-octane love of owners, drivers, and car lovers everywhere. It's a calling for every man and woman to enjoy and live this lifestyle now. Welcome to Cars and Coffee Exposed.
Aubrey Zelenka, I mean, you are like, you look as cool as your car, first of all. Let's just talk about that.
Well, thank you. I try to match.
You do it well. And this car, I don't even know where to begin with it because it started off as one thing. It has morphed into something completely in its own lane. It's a one of one. So bring us through that process.
Yes, so it started, actually my husband started it. It's a 1946 Ford Business Coupe with a lot of extra body parts. So there's some resemblance of the original form of it, but then you start to look like, what is this? What's that? But it resembles a Zephyr. That was the kind of point of it, to have that style.
And you call it the
Poor man's Zephyr.
But it's really not, because at this point.
Yeah, if we charged our hourly rate and, you know, all the things that were put into it, yes, we could have bought a brand new Zephyr. My husband started it. I came in when it was bare metal, and he had the initial vision, and then we have a very Art Deco. We love Art Deco. That's like our biggest thing. We love everything. We're very eclectic, but Art Deco is our like heart source. So I think when I came in, it was like already just following his vision and then just adding little things here and there and talking about it throughout the way. And that was just really, it was every new piece that was built, it was like, well, how should we design this? How should we do that? You know, because everything's pretty much, the grill in front is handmade, the engine cover, like talking about, because we have an LS in it, so, which is like kind of not traditional, but we drive ours. We drive it everywhere. It's never been trailered. So just talking about, okay, how do we make this engine look prettier? So drawing a design, and I'm like, okay, here. And then he goes and rolls it out because he's very good at that. So yeah.
Both of you were involved in the vision. Yes. Speaking Art Deco, that instrument panel is a work of art.
Yes.
It looked like, I don't know if you guys did the dash around it, because that's what it kind of looks like, but you did an amazing job on that, because
thank you. Yeah,
it's just gorgeous. Where did that come from?
So it started with the original dash, and then had to piece in some panels to widen it, and then 49 Chrysler dash in the center. So it's kind of like the ship, you know, the captain at the head of the ship in the center. And then he actually designed the center console, and then we kind of just worked together. He'd be like, what do you think about these beads? And what do you think about these steps? And then looking for, you know, there's actually a boat radio with Bluetooth hidden in it, because that was the only thing small enough we could find to go inside, because it's a very small space that it comes down to. I've always loved cars. My husband he just grew up in like his dad was into drag racing, and he started working on a car when he was like 15 years old in his garage. Me, I grew up out in a swamp, and, you know, I was just always grew up very eclectic, and I learned welding at a really young age. And so when I met him, he was always just working on a car. And it was like, okay, well, like, I'm gonna do more welding. And I had a business doing leather work, and I did stuff for the steel mill. And then so we started incorporating metal work. And then it just kind of took off, where it became this business for both of us, and taking in client cars. Because I had the business aspect, and he had the like more knowledge. He's a great painter. He did auto body for 30 years. So we kind of just combined all of our skills together and like learned from each other with certain things, and kind of just like made this little whirlwind.
A match made in heaven.
Yeah.
Obviously it works, because if you guys did this together, and that's what comes of your union, then you're doing amazing.
Yeah, it's our baby.
What are the responses that you get when you're driving it?
The best response was in Louisville, and he had a very southern draw, and he said, "This looks like water. Get yourself a drink."
Oh, I love
and
that.
I loved that. I was like, that's perfect. I'm like so smooth and slick, and like, you know, So I really like that one. But
Well, I'm really excited just to spend time with another woman in the business.
Likewise,
I just
yes.
love what you're doing, the way you're doing it.
Yes.
Keep on, girl. I'm
Yes.
proud of you.
Thank you.
Thanks for sharing it with us. It's
Thank you.
gorgeous. Yeah. Doug, it's so great meeting you. I am so excited to hear about this car because I just took a look at it and it's incredible.
Thank you. Thank you.
It's beautiful, and we don't get to see one of ones many times here, but you have one, and indeed it is a one of one.
It's a one of one. It's the HRG people aren't real excited about this car because it's not a competition car. You know, it doesn't follow the philosophy that HRG had in cars, but they made it. It's here. Might as well enjoy it.
So give us that history about HRG.
They started in '36. They started making competition cars, and they were lightweight competition cars. They did really well. Hill climbs, trials cars, big in England. You know, in the U.S. it was more road racing or there it's trials. Who can climb up a hill? You know, it's just a different animal. HRG did very well, and they're very durable little cars, very reasonably priced. They only made 240 some cars in 20 years, but they made money. The company did well, and they prospered, and they made some great cars. This car was the brainchild of Halford in '38. They made one. His partners didn't like it, and that was it. And they stopped.
So you really have a prototype.
Yeah, that's about what it was. Then the war happened, and all the cars, they ceased production of cars. So when they started back up, this was not one of them they ever started.
It's a shame because it's beautiful.
It's a pretty car. It's really a show car. It's not a great driver.
It's not?
No. When you drive a regular HRG, it's a lot of fun. Quick steering,
Yeah.
all that. This is not a great driver.
Okay, so it's very engaging.
It's a kind of car you want to see or be seen, but you don't want to be driving it.
It gives me Downton Abbey. It gives me royalty.
Yeah.
Like that's what
It's got a nice look to it. It's a longer car than the MG airlines, so it's got a little more look to it, I think.
There's so much detail. Like we were talking about earlier when we were looking at the car, the wood paneling, the craftsmanship.
I could never figure out how the English, these small shops, put so much handwork into these cars and made a profit. Handcrafted bodies, they were tremendous woodworkers, everything about them. And you just can't imagine with that little production how they ever made any money.
It's a first for me that I've seen this car, and I'm sure it'll be for the viewers too because it's one of one.
Well, thanks for coming out.
Yeah.
I appreciate you guys seeing the whole show. There's a lot of unique cars here.
It is. What are you going to bring next year?
I never know until.
Okay. Keep it on the hush.
Yeah.
I got you. Okay. Mystery man. Okay. We'll see you next year.
All right. See you.
Thanks.
We'll be right back with more Cars and Coffee Exposed.
Promotional consideration provided by...
What is Urable? We are a business management system that helps create an exceptional customer experience and improves business operations. As a car enthusiast, you deserve the best, and Urable is the common denominator. With so many detail shops, endless brands of ceramic coatings, window tint, and paint protection film, it's hard to find the right shop for the job. Shops powered by Urable understand the care and quality that your investment requires. Avoid shops that are in the race to the bottom. If you want to identify the best providers in your area, make sure they're powered by Urable.
Your car is stolen. A crisis for you. A tragedy for your community. Theft hurts everyone. Insurance rises. Your neighborhood violated. Who will be next? But you can feel more protected and secure with the LoJack system. LoJack brings it back. LoJack's vehicle recovery system will find your vehicle usually within 30 minutes. And with the recent launch of LoJack LE, we're equipping our law enforcement partners with a safer and more efficient way to recover your vehicle. The LoJack app creates a bond of trust, providing enhanced features designed to promote safety and convenience, and you'll always know where your vehicle is. Only LoJack stands with this promise. Receive up to $10,000 reimbursement if your vehicle is not recovered in 30 days. Let LoJack bring back your safety, confidence, and give you a greater driving experience. LoJack brings it back.
Get ready for an adrenaline-fueled ride with Cars and Coffee Exposed. It's not just a show, it's a whole new automotive experience. Now's the time to claim your spot as a brand partner for the electrifying 2024 season. Partner with us to inject your brand into our high-octane episodes and connect with car enthusiasts live at Cars and Coffee events nationwide. Rev up your marketing strategy today. Contact carsandcoffeeexposed.com and let's accelerate together.
Welcome back to Cars and Coffee Exposed.
Meet Scott Schmaltz. By day, he's a master technician working for Mercedes-Benz. But when he's not fixing high-tech cars, he goes back to the roots of American car culture. As president of the Roman Chariots, a 60-year-old car club out of Blue Island, Illinois, his mission is to keep the passion for automobiles alive for his and the generations to follow. We caught up with Scott and his Mercury 8, cruising the countryside in Crown Point, Indiana. Scott Schmaltz.
Yes.
Scott, word is on the streets that you are the man.
Yeah.
Okay, because you are like the actual president of the car club.
Yeah.
So
That's what I've been told, yes.
which just means you do everything and you don't get any credit, right?
Sure,
That's usually
yes.
what it means.
Yeah.
So Roman Chariots.
Yep.
Tell us a little bit about the club.
So the Roman Chariots are out of historic Blue Island, Illinois. Started in 1964. It was a bunch of high school guys. They went to Eisenhower High School, and they were 16, 17, wanted to play with cars. So they started a car club. So it kind of went from like 64 to about 74. We started out, they did paper drives and car washes to raise money. And they did most of it for charity. And in 06, I think, a bunch of friends were renting a shop and we were hanging out and building nonsense, and we're like, we should do a car club, it'd be great, you know? So I was like, well, Dad's got his jacket hanging in the garage. So there's a couple names that I know. We tracked those guys down. They were like, yeah, that sounds cool. And so we got, the green light from them, and so we started the club back up in about 06.
So your dad was in the club.
Yep, my dad was in the club in 1966. Him and his best friend joined, and they joined a car club, and neither of them had a car, which was interesting.
They had high hopes.
Yeah, and they were like, all right, well, like, you guys are cool. Can you get a car? Like, can you drive to the meetings in a car? So my dad had his dad's 58 Buick. I think it was a Buick station wagon, which was, now that's cool.
Oh, yeah.
In 1964, that was not cool.
No.
So that's how he got in the car club.
Like riding up in the minivan.
Yeah, right. So
what's the core mission of the club?
the goal is just to bring back to the community, right? So we do 2 events every year since 2012. And one is at a local special needs school, and we raise all the money for their Special Olympics team. So since 2012, we've raised just over $40,000 for their Special Olympics teams. And our shows aren't that big. They get like 125 cars. But we don't take any money off the top. So whatever we get in sponsor money, that's what we have for giveaways and whatnot. And then the $20 goes straight to the charity.
So you're inspiring the next generation.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Right.
We all hope, right?
Right.
These car shows, that's what it does. How were you inspired as a kid?
So my dad was a big gearhead, but he built model cars, like AMT kits. And so there's like 500-ish in my house right now that he had built through the years. So I had learned everything there was to know about cars through models. But my dad's best friend always had something cool. He had it was like 10, 12, and he picked up a 66 Pontiac with a 329, a 4-barrel, and it was bitching, jump in the back seat, no seat belts, and never sat in, so it's all springy, and he's banging gears, and you're sucked into the seat. It was cool.
And you obviously were inspired enough to follow that path as a trade as well.
Yep. So I'm a Mercedes mechanic.
Okay.
Yep, so I work on high-end luxury cars during the day, and then old junk at night. So it's quite the difference in worlds.
Yeah, for sure.
Dealing with super modern technology and then going to any of our old cars and having to dig through books to find out information that doesn't exist anymore.
No doubt. So Scott, you've been collecting for a little bit now. What's in your collection presently?
So currently I've got a little 27 Ford hot rod. It's a 27 T-body on a Model A frame with a 46 flathead, juice brakes, all the right parts for a 48 period hot rod. And then my wife's got a 58 Mercury Voyager station wagon. It's teal, 4-door, hard top. It's got 383 push button trans, which is pretty neat. And then, and this one.
Really?
Yes.
This
So
must
that's
be your favorite because this is what you brought.
It is. It is my favorite. That car and I actually have a pretty neat history, even though I've just got it last year. It's one that I've had my eyes on for a long time, so it's pretty cool.
And you drive it regularly?
Yeah, so we picked it up last year, and the guy that I picked it up from, in 30 years, he put about 20,000 miles on it. And my wife and I and my 2-year-old jumped in it, and we drove down to Oklahoma for a weekend. So we put about 6,000 miles on it last year, which was pretty good in Chicago because you only get 4 months of drive time, so we drive the wheels off of it.
You feel like going for a ride today?
I'd love to. If you're ready, we'll go.
Okay, take me,
All right.
Let's go.
All right, sounds good.
So what year is this Mercury 8, Scott?
This is a 1949 Mercury 8.
49.
Yeah.
And you've had it for how long now?
1 year.
Oh, really?
Yep, just bought it March of last year.
Do you like to drive it to shows or like, I mean, you don't drive it daily?
Actually, I pretty much do in the summer.
Okay.
Yeah, I drive it to work every morning, and it sits out in the parking lot, and I stare at it and cry because I can't drive it, and then jump back in it and go home.
You guys just ever go riding or driving?
So yeah, we actually, in this one a little bit, I'll just get up in the morning and be like, they're not going on Sunday, and we'll drive south to farmland and go find a coffee shop or something.
My daughters and I did that. We would get in the car, and we would drive down, and we get to a stop sign, and then I'd say, okay, left or right. And then they would say, okay, go left or go right. And we just took drives and saw so much cool stuff.
Right.
I live in Atlanta, I'm always on a highway. That just really gave us such a cool opportunity to just see the roads and just enjoy the drive and enjoy each other's company. And I feel like this is what that takes me to.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's been cool for you to do
it's
that.
cool. You know, the car is named Slowpoke, and there's a reason, because it's not fast. You know, it sounds healthy.
It does sound, it sounds like it could go.
But, you know, it's still just an old flathead, so it's just a cruiser, you know? So getting out, it just loves, you know, 60, 65, one finger on the wheel, just cruising along, you know? This has got original chassis, original suspension. It's got lowered front springs, but that's it. And I think it drives really well for what it is.
Yeah. Do you have anything else that you want to do to it that you haven't done yet?
No. So I picked this car up and I wanted this car, right? So I have no plans on changing anything about this car. I wanted it for what it is. The only thing I added were 3 stickers. That's all I changed on the car. It's got a flathead in it, which nobody runs. It's unchopped, which nobody runs. You know, there's a lot of little stuff that it's cool for what it is. I thought it was super neat. You know, there's enough cars out there that are chopped. It doesn't need it.
True.
You know, there's enough LS cars out in the world. That
exactly.
Not everything has to be LS.
No, for sure.
Contrary to popular belief.
Yeah.
Jake built the car in 1982 in his 2-car garage, him and his brother-in-law. And he had built it for his brother-in-law. And then his brother-in-law decided it was slow and he didn't want it. So they had put it together. They Frenched the headlights, rounded the hood, shaved the doors, the hood, the trunk, lowered it, put the lake pipes on it, and actually moved the fender trim is now on the door. Filled all the holes because he knew right away he wanted flames. And he had always seen all the cars.
Yeah.
And the trim was right in the middle of the flames, kind of separates it, and he didn't like it. So he decided that that's what they were gonna do. So then he painted 3 coats of black lacquer in his 2-car garage. And then he took it to a gentleman by the name of Art Offamera, who was a custom painter. And he painted the flames on it in his 1-car garage. And I was told that this is the first flame job he ever did, which is pretty wild because it's an amazing flame job.
Yeah.
You know, that was the selling point to me on the car as I was a kid. Like it's an awesome fade.
Yeah.
It's a attention getter. It's like wild, but not at the same thing. Like it's cool. So
It's classic.
yeah, so then they drove it around like that with a stock flathead for like 10 years. And then Jake decided he needed to not be as slow as it was. So he had Motor City flatheads up in Detroit, put this one motor together for him. And it's been like that ever since. So, you know, it's been a long, long time in our area with Slowpoke cruising around.
Slow and steady.
Yeah.
Wins the race. So, did Jake have all the pinstriping done on it as well? Wow.
Yep, so a gentleman that went by DJ, local famous-ish paint striper, did all the original striping. I think he did just the red. Somebody else came after and did the white when Jake needed it touched up. So this car's got a 3-speed manual transmission, but overdrive. So right now I'm in 3rd gear. I don't know if I've ever been in a car with overdrive on a manual.
Right.
So right now I'm in 3rd, and if I get off the gas and then get back in, I'm in 3 OD. So it makes it like a 5-speed,
Yeah.
even though it's a manual 3-speed on the column transmission. It's a pretty neat deal.
I've been watching you drive it. I'm like, okay, that's different.
Right. Yeah, it's weird the way they got it set up. It's a weird on-off thing.
Yeah.
And so like right now I'm in 2nd.
Uh-huh.
So to shift, I just get off the gas,
Uh-huh.
and then back on, and now it's in overdrive. Like rip. You want it to rip? I'll rip it.
Yeah, that's what he said. Let's go. Ooh, yeah,
Like I said,
Yeah.
still just a flathead.
I love it though. Sounds like dependability.
Right.
Sounds like I could trust her.
We'll be right back with more Cars and Coffee Exposed.
Promotional consideration provided by
What is Urable? We are a business management system that helps create an exceptional customer experience and improves business operations. As a car enthusiast, you deserve the best, and Urable is the common denominator. With so many detail shops, endless brands of ceramic coatings, window tint, and paint protection film, it's hard to find the right shop for the job. Shops powered by Urable understand the care and quality that your investment requires. Avoid shops that are in the race to the bottom. If you want to identify the best providers in your area, make sure they're powered by Urable.
Get ready for an adrenaline-fueled ride with Cars and Coffee Exposed. It's not just a show, it's a whole new automotive experience. Now's the time to claim your spot as a brand partner for the electrifying 2024 season. Partner with us to inject your brand into our high-octane episodes and connect with car enthusiasts live at Cars and Coffee events nationwide. Rev up your marketing strategy today. Contact carsandcoffeeexposed.com and let's accelerate together.
Welcome back to Cars and Coffee Exposed.
Hi, Neil.
Hi, how you doing?
Good. Such a pleasure to meet you. Now, I didn't feel like I was in Indiana really until just now when I got in that Mack truck, and I just felt like America.
You look good in it.
I did. I felt good in it.
Yeah.
This truck has stood the test of time. It was built for some heavy-duty action. So,
Absolutely.
yeah, what inspired you to get this truck?
It's a long story, but I'll try to make it short as I can. Originally, my dad drove one years ago, so that's brought back memories to that. But I needed something when I farmed part-time to pull my U-stuck trailer and haul grain. And I didn't want to pull with my pickup, so my dad said, you need to find an old semi-tractor and fix it up to pull my truck. So I did. So I used that for farming for several years. But then in 1995, I parked it. I was done. Farm is set in the shed until 2011. And my wife asked me, she says, you ever gonna do anything with that old truck? Now, I wanted to restore it, but never got started on it.
Yeah.
So finally, in 2011, the day came. I was afraid to start it because I thought it might be locked up from setting 6 years. So we aired it up with an air compressor and pushed it on a trailer and hauled it up to the local Mack dealership. It was at the Mack dealership for a year.
Oh, wow.
They went through everything on the motor and everything. There was only one guy that could work on the B model Macks. They were so old, you know, that nobody knew anything about it. So one guy worked on it the whole time I was there. So I was in there for a year, and then finally got it going. And from there, went to the body shop. But when it got all done, I took it back to the Mac dealership, and everybody stopped working in the dealership.
Oh, I know.
When they saw it, they said, that can't be the same truck. And it was the same truck. They were amazed.
It's really such a testament to how things were made back then, because it's obviously a work truck, but there's just so many beautiful parts to it. The chrome grill, just the way it's made, you know that it was made with care. What are your favorite little?
Well, I was big about Bulldogs all my life, and big about Mac trucks too, because of the Bulldog. It was, but just that style of the B model Mac set it apart from everything else. And so I was always wanted one, and I ended up getting one.
So you're just showing it. How many times have you shown it?
I mean, we took it to car show after car show after car show. We always had our local one at Valparaiso, and we were there every Friday night during the summer.
It's so unique. I don't think I've ever seen a Mac truck at a car show before.
Well, that's something a little different,
It is so different.
It is, but I had a lot of people come to me at the car show. A lot of old guys would say, you know what? I cut my teeth on one of them old Mac trucks.
Hey,
exactly.
Right. Yeah. Well, enjoy it. We have. So thank you so much for bringing it out.
Well, I
today.
sure appreciate you having me.
Absolutely. Thanks,
All right.
Neil.
Thank you.
Right. Jim, thank you so much for being with us today. How are you feeling on this fine afternoon?
Fair to middling.
Fair to middling? That's something my dad used to say. I love it. Well, thanks for being with us. So you got this 1933 Ford Coupe.
Right.
And I hear that you started your love affair with this car at a pretty early age.
I was walking to high school, cutting through the neighbor's yard in 1957. And there was this Kelly Green 33 Ford Coupe parked in a driveway. The kid that owned it was visiting the kid next door. 6 months later, I met the guy who bought that car because the original owner had blown the engine out of it and didn't want the car anymore. I met him through another friend, and I spent a lot of time with him in the car doing kid stuff, you know?
Right.
Later, I had a 55 Chevy, which I totaled, and we ended up putting the transmission and the rear end out of that in this 33. And then I lost track of him when he graduated and I went to college in 2005. Got the idea of trying to track him down. And I went to the university, and by golly, they gave me his mailing address. I wrote him a letter, didn't hear from him. 4 or 5 months later, I get a phone call from him. He still had the car. I said, do you want to sell it? And he said, no. And I said, fine, you got my phone number. Several months later, he called and he tells me this crazy story that he's in the process of restoring a 1937 Cord supercharged Roadster, very rare car. He says, if you want to buy the 33, I'll sell it to you. So I bought it, and that started the whole process, which has taken 20 years.
20 years.
To get it to where I wanted it. For example, one of the things we did, he didn't like the steering wheel on it. So we went to the junkyard and found this lovely 39 Pontiac white steering wheel. And of course, the splines, the steering shaft on the Ford did not fit. So we solved that with a big bar of steel and a 2-pound sledgehammer, which is, one of the basic tenets of home-built hot rods. If it don't fit, don't force it, get a bigger hammer. But then, of course, when you go to restore the car, it's all junk.
Right.
So you had to get rid of all of it.
So here you were working on this car with your friend, not knowing that this would one day be your car.
Absolutely.
That's a pretty extraordinary story.
Yeah. The way it's set up, it's the classic 50, 60 hot rod. It's not some show car.
So you drive it.
Oh, yeah.
And now you bring it here so we can all enjoy it. And you've done such a good job of restoring it. It's a beautiful car. Thank you so much, Jim, for bringing it out and letting us enjoy it. Let us be your eyes. She is absolutely beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you. And,
all right.
And enjoy the rest of your day.
You too.
Patrick Slabonic, Thank you so much for bringing this beautiful car out today.
Yeah.
You literally brought it out of a museum to bring it to us to see and to share today. This 1932 Studebaker President. And you do this for a living. I mean, this is what you do because you are the executive director of the Studebaker Museum.
I am. Thank you. Yeah, it's quite a job perk. We like to say that we have a little bit of fun in auto museums, and getting out to car shows like this and being able to show off our wonderful collection and connect with enthusiasts and people like yourself is just the highlight of the job.
It's exciting, and we appreciate you for all your hard work. The car is beautiful.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit more about it.
Yeah,
Give us some
so
history on it.
at the show today, we have the 1932 Studebaker President St. Regis Brougham. That is the absolute top of the line that Studebaker made in that model year. The President was the highest mark that Studebaker made, which featured an inline 8-cylinder engine that Studebaker had debuted in 1928, which is a wonderful engine to power it. The styling is absolutely stunning and incredible. The timing, of course, was unfortunate because it was 1932 and the country was getting ready to enter the Great Depression, and so it was a challenge to sell the vehicles. Only of the entire President line, only 2,500 were sold that year, and even fewer of the St. Regis Broughams.
This car was made to be like the creme de la creme.
Yes.
How much did that car cost about?
A new car cost about $1,750, one of the St. Regis Brougham packages, yeah.
People were making like 45 cents an hour back then.
If they were lucky enough to have a job, yeah, absolutely.
Wow, so that's an expensive car.
It was,
If you're
yes.
making 45 cents an hour. Was that the beginning of the end for Studebaker?
The first time, yeah. So
Yeah.
Studebaker went into receivership twice. In 32 and 33, Studebaker really struggled with sales, and the company went into receivership, and they were lucky enough to emerge from it. One of the few companies and automakers that could actually go bankrupt the first time and still continue to produce cars. They continued producing all the way until 1966, and we're all lucky for it because there's some of the classic and absolutely stunning Studebaker designs that collectors and enthusiasts everywhere love. A fun fact that people don't know is Studebaker actually produced electric vehicles from 1898 to 1912. And then they, in 1904, they produced their first combustion engine, and they produced combustion engines, of course, all the way until the end. They had some of the iconic designs and had wonderful designers who worked with and for them. Icons like Raymond Loewy designing cars like the Studebaker Bullet Nose that everybody sees and loves at all the car shows and cruise-ins across the country.
That name is just synonymous. It's just built in to American history and to the fabric of it. So we're so glad that they continue to make cars.
We acquired it in 2004 from the S. Ray Miller collection, which is a famed Indiana collection, and the Levine Restoration Team, which is one of the more notable restoration companies in the country. Their authenticity is second to none, and they did a ton of research to find an absolutely perfect color for this car that was an original one that you could have gotten on it in the day, yeah.
Everybody should come and see you all.
Absolutely.
Where are you
Come and see the
located?
museum. We are in South Bend, Indiana, where Studebaker was headquartered and the primary factories and locations from the entire corporate history. We also have the world's largest presidential carriage collection, which includes the carriage that Abraham Lincoln rode to Ford's Theater the night of his assassination. And to put a very nice bookend on it, we also have the final two Studebakers, the last car that was produced in South Bend, Indiana, and the last car that was produced in Hamilton, Ontario 3 years later in 1966.
We tour these car shows because this is a part of who we are, part of our culture, and this is what keeps it alive.
Yeah.
So people like you doing what you do, the museum, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for what you do, Chelsea. It was
Absolutely.
a pleasure to meet you.